have any questions? I only gave you 1 to 5, yeah? Okay. Any questions on 1 to 5? I'm just going to do 5 just to remind you about it. So 5, because I didn't do an example like this yesterday. Right, okay. So it tells me f of x is equal to 3x minus 2, and part 1 asks me to find f of 2. So f of 2 means everywhere I see an x, it's normally f of x. So inside the bracket there's a 2. So in the bracket, 2 is in the bracket, so that means you put it in for x. It's the input. So everywhere I see an x, put in a 2. So it's 3 times 2 minus 2. That's 4. So you put in a 2 and you got out a 4. You don't need to write the couple, but going forward, just you write for the point, graphing further on. Okay, part 2 asks me for f of minus 3. So that means again the minus 3 is in the bracket, so put it in for x. So everywhere I see an x, put in a minus 3. Okay, and you get minus 11. So you put in a minus 3 and you got out a minus 11. Is that alright? F of k is just means everywhere you see an x, put in a k. Right, so it's 3 times k minus 2, and that's my answer. Okay, and the last one is f of 2k minus 1. So that means everywhere you see an x, put in a 2k minus 1. So instead of that x, put in a 2k minus 1, then multiply out and tidy it up. So you get 6k minus 3 minus 2, which is minus 5. Is that right? Happy with that? Remember that? Okay, just on if I said a harder one, right? Okay, so if I just look at number 9, you can actually write this down as example. I didn't put any examples in yesterday, did I? No, so I'll just call it example 1, right? Because it's part of section 1. Okay, I'm going to do this example and then I'm going to move on, right? Okay, so if f of x, so f of x equals 2x squared minus 1, g of x is equal to x plus 2, right? Solve, right? F of x equals 3. Part 2 is g of x equals f of 3. And part 3 is f of x equals g of x. Okay, so this time in part 1, right, they tell me f of x equals 3. So they basically, this says I put in something for x. I don't know what I put in for x, but the answer of what I got out was 3. This time they're telling me the outcome. They're telling me the answer I got when I put in something for x, right? How do you know it's the output? Because it's not in the bracket. If it was in the bracket, it's the input. Put it in. But if it's outside the bracket, that's what you got out. So 2x squared minus 1, you put in something into f, so you put in something for that x, and the answer you got was 3. Is that okay? Sorry, which way am I going? It's probably magnified as well, which isn't helping. Right, am I okay now? Yeah. Right, okay, so that will give me 2x squared is 4 when that 1 comes over. Divide by 2 and you get x squared is equal to 2. So that means x is plus or minus the square root of 2, as it can be plus root 2 or it can be minus root 2. Okay, is that right? That's part 1. Part 2 tells me g of x is equal to f of 3. So g of x is just the function above there, which is x plus 2. F of 3, the 3 is in the bracket, so that means put the 3 into f. So it would be 2 times 3 to be squared minus 1. Okay, is that right? So g of x is just the function g. f of 3 means put in a 3 into f instead of the x. You with me? Okay, so x plus 2 multiplying out here, that's 18 minus 1 would be 17. Okay, 3 squared is 9, by 2 is 18, take away 1 is 17. Okay, and then x is equal to 15 when you solve that. Is that okay? And the last part, part 3 tells me f of x equals g of x. So f of x is 2x squared minus 1. G of x is equal to x plus 2. So I want to solve. This is a quadratic, as in I have an x squared term and an x term. So that means everything over to the left, 2x squared, followed by the x term, minus x. And then I'll have a minus 1 and a minus 2 when it comes across, which is minus 3. Then to solve a quadratic, factorize 2x and x, 3 and 1, and I want to end up with minus 1, so minus 3 plus 2. Okay, then let each bracket equal 0, so you get x is equal to 3 over 2, or x is equal to, x is equal to minus 1. Is that okay? Right, remember those? And they get quite sticky, right? So I'm going to give you some more of those. I'm moving on, but the next bit involves this as well, okay? Right? So the next section is composition of functions. Okay, so what this involves is you're taking your input and you put it into the first function. So you put it into f, so you put it into f of x, right? You take the answer and then you put it into a second function, so there'll be a different rule here. So then you put it into g and then you get the final answer. Is that okay? So you're taking an input, a number, you're putting it into the first function, then you're taking the answer and you're putting that into the second function, and you end up with the final output. Okay, so it's composition of functions. It means there's more than one function, right? Okay, so you put the number into the first function, then you put the answer into the second function, and then you get the overall answer. Okay, how it's written is, right, okay, this is, I put it into f first, so this is written as g after f of x. So see that little circle there, that stands for after. So if you read it out loud, it's g after f, so that means put it into f first and then put the answer into g, right? Okay, sometimes girls, or most of the time, they don't bother putting in that little circle. They just write g f of x. So you read that as g after f. So g after f means you do f first. Is that okay? So g after f, you do f first. Are we okay with that? Okay, so I'll go straight to an example. Right, okay. So if I say f of x is 2x plus 1, g of x is 4x minus 3, and part 1 is find f of 3, part 2 is find g f of 3, part 3 is f g of minus 2, and part 4 is g f of x. And part 5 is for what value of x is fg of x okay, right, so lots of different parts there, okay, right, part 1 we can do already, we can do since third year, right, okay, so part 1 is just f of 3, so f of 3, that just means in f, everywhere I see an x, put in a 3. The 3 is in the brackets, so put it in. It's in the brackets, so put it in. So f of 3 is equal to 2 times 3 plus 1, which is 7. Is that okay? Sorry. Sorry? Yeah, sorry, I heading for the door. Right, okay. Part 2 asks me for g f of 3. So reading that, you stick an after in there. So g after f of 3. G after f of 3. Which one will I do first? F. So I have to do f of 3 first. I happen to have it done, but I'll do it again. 2 times. That means enter f, everywhere I see an x, put in a 3, and the answer is 7. Right? So then you take the answer and you put it into g. So I'm actually going to get g of 7 then, because you take the answer and you put it in. Right? So g of 7, that means into g, everywhere I see an x, put in a 7.
Can you push it up?
Yeah. Can I go like that? Have I cut anyone off? So I'll get 4 times 7, 28, minus 3 is 25. Okay? Is that alright? So you put the 3 into F, then you take the answer and you put it into G. Straightforward enough, isn't it? Right, okay. Part 3 is FG of minus 2. FG of minus 2. So when you read it, it's F after G. So that means put it into G first. So put what into G? You put minus 2 into G first. So minus 2 into G, sorry, G is 4x minus 3. So it's 4 times minus 2 minus 3, which would be minus 11. Okay? You take the answer and then you put it into F. So that's F of minus 11. So everywhere into F, everywhere I see an X, put a minus 11. So it's 2 times minus 11 plus 1, is it? 2x plus 1, yeah. Okay, which is minus 21. Minus 22 plus 1 is minus 21. Is that okay? I'm going to fight with someone now. I'm talking about me. My nose is so itchy. Right, part 4 is to get g f of x. Okay, so I've nothing to put in for x, so I'm just taking the actual function. So that reads g after f of x. So that means I do f of x first. So f of x is equal to 2x plus 1. Okay, so then I take the answer, that's the answer to the first bit, and I put it in to g. So g of 2x plus 1, so that means in g, everywhere I see an x, I'm putting in a 2x plus 1, because you put in the answer. Okay, so g was, what was g? 4x minus 3, is it? 4x minus 3? Yeah, I can't find the board to go back. So it's 4 4x, so instead of x I'm putting the answer, which is 2x plus 1 minus 3. Multiply that out and tidy it up and you'll get 8x plus 4 minus 3, which would be plus 1. Is that okay? We all good? So you do f of x first and you take the answer and put it into g. Right, and then finally part 5. Oh no, part 4. No, that was part 4. Part 5 is, for what value of x is fg of x equal to 19? So basically, I have to get the answer for this. So I have to work this side out first. And I let the answer from that equal to 19. Okay? Now, do I have the answer? No, I don't, because I just did g f of x. That's different. That'll work out differently to fg of x. Okay? So there, it's not commutative. As in g f of x, fg of x, you won't get the same answer. Okay? So I have to do this part first. So I have to do fg of x. So fg of x means I need to do g of x first, because it's f after g. So g of x was 4x minus 3. Is that right? Okay. Then I have to take the answer from g and put it into f. So that's 4x minus 3. So into f, everywhere I see an x, I'm putting in a 4x minus 3. So it's 2 times 4x minus 3 plus 1. Okay, is that alright? Then sorting that out, that's 8x minus 5. Very good? Okay, not finished though. So that's the answer to that side. So what they've told me is that 8x minus 5 is equal to 19. Okay, so I'm just solving this. So 8x is equal to 24. So that means x is equal to 3. Is that okay? Composition of functions? Think to be okay? Right, okay. So I think what we'll do is, they get pretty hard, but I will give you lots to do, and then we'll iron out the problems on Monday. So I'm going to go back and give you some more questions from the first section, because we only did the easy ones, so just in case. So if I do page 236 to 237, let's do 8, 10, 12, 14. 8, 10, 12, 14. And then on today's section, which is on page 240 to 241, let's do 3 to 10. And you can start now.